Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books and make the journey to authorship just a little bit easier. My name is Larissa Sohan, and I am the CEO of Next Page Publishing, a hybrid publishing house where we help entrepreneurs write books to grow their businesses. Now, I'm on a mission to help aspiring authors feel like they are in control of the publishing journey and that they are supported by a team of experts who genuinely want the best for them and their books. If you are in the very beginning of your journey, or maybe you have a manuscript that you're finished and you're not sure how to get it out into the world, I encourage you to reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net. You can schedule your free discovery call and find out how our team of experts can make your journey to being a published author easy, smooth, and successful. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our next amazing guest and make your journey to authorship a little less complicated. Welcome to another episode of I Wrote That. I'm very excited to have Sabrina Greer with me today. We were talking a little bit offline about how we technically could be seen as direct competitors and how neither of us feel that way in any way, shape, or form. So Sabrina is known as the book doula, and I'm staring at the back of her shelf right now, and I would have to agree with that title. There's, would you say, over 100 books back there?
There is indeed.
Yeah. So she is the book doula for her powerful work helping visionaries birth their books. Sabrina is a best-selling author, speaker, international publisher, and mentor to creative entrepreneurs. She is the founder of YGT Media Company and Soul Seed Legacy House, which is an award-winning publishing house with imprints for thought leaders, coaches, and changemakers who want to grow their impact. You said copyright their intellectual property and really just protect their assets going forward so they become known as the thought leader. So welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so great. It is great to have you here because rarely do I have someone that is exactly what I do. So we could have long conversations about what the heck is it that we do? How do we actually take these people that are incredibly inspirational in their own right and have been through the gambit and have learned and we draw the best out of them. So could you just give us a little bit of in your own words, an intro of yourself?
So my name's Sabrina. I am a publisher, but I always say I'm an author first because that's sort of how I started. So my background, I was traditionally published with my first book, had an experience that I like to call it a creative difference with said publisher, which sort of forced me into figuring out how to self-publish my next book, same book, second edition. And I realized very quickly that I didn't enjoy either experience. With the traditional publisher, I didn't really enjoy having my intellectual property owned by someone else. And with the self-publishing, it felt like a solo hike in the woods where everything was terrifying and unknown and lost and, lonely and all of those things. So I really wanted to create a space that felt really safe and really supportive and also had the benefits of self-publishing, that are owning your intellectual property, because I never wanted anyone to have to go down that again. So I always lived by the rules, like if it doesn't exist, create it. And that's sort of what I did in my business. So my guidance counselor in high school wasn't like, you're going to be a publisher one day. It certainly was never on my radar. I thought when I was young, I was going to either be a mermaid or an author. Mermaid didn't work out, but author did. And then, now I get to support other women who also have a story to tell. So we specialize in nonfiction, as I know you do too, which is super fun because it's just really cool to be able to support people in getting their stories out into the world, because I believe we all have a story and, not one is greater or better than the other. It's all about how we tell it and how we share it with the world. And I think people need support with that because it's not something a skill that we're all just born with.
Yeah.
Right? Or everyone would be doing it.
Right, exactly. I had this incredible revelation this morning at 3 a.m. when I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to work because why? We're entrepreneurs. We don't really have lives outside of this office. But I was like, why? I don't understand why people write books in isolation. I don't get it. They are literally a product that's meant for people, for the world. There is no other product out there that doesn't work with someone to develop their content, to develop their gift to the world. And so like I had someone today ask me like, oh, are you a vanity press? And I was like, whoa, that's harsh words. That's some harsh words. Let's talk about the difference.
Swear words in our world.
Right. I know. Basically, it was like, oh, well, that hurts my feelings. Let's talk about it. But yeah, I don't know why you would ever write a book alone. And it doesn't always mean hiring a hybrid publisher. It doesn't always mean going self-publishing, but having beta reader groups, having alpha readers lined up to help you write or help you refine your content as you're writing. It baffles me. So when you were talking, you and I were talking earlier, you were talking about writing coaches and I call them literary coaches because it sounds sexier in our business as well. At what stage do authors come to you and step into your business?
It's interesting because like all entrepreneurs and all business owners, we sort of move in and out and figure out what works and throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And, so we've had authors come to us at all stages, literally like, I have an idea. Like, okay, I guess we're starting from absolute scratch, which in some ways I prefer, because then we're starting from scratch and we're supporting them from first word on the page all the way through the process. So it feels very much, they call me the book doula because I don't know if, a lot of your audience are parents, but, the birthing process is actually very similar to the publishing process, right? So it really is like the difference of somebody coming to me when they first find out they're pregnant versus someone coming to me when they're 8 months pregnant and about to deliver their baby. So we get people at all stages and phases. When they come early, we can help mold and direct the process and support them from the very beginning so that it feels like that really handheld, they're bringing in experts from the very beginning. And then when they come a little bit later, we just help them where they're at. We meet them where they're at. But like with birth, when somebody comes a little bit later, they feel like they already have a handle on what's going on. And sometimes it's a little more difficult to support them, and meet them where they're at. But yeah, we really bring people in wherever they're at. It's very energetically based for me. Like I bring in clients who I mesh well energetically. And, if I see their vision, because I think that's my gift, is being able to see people's vision, whether that's their business plan, because I'm also like, before publishing, I was the business coach and a mindset coach for entrepreneurs, and it sort of evolved into this whole publishing world. So I can really see people's vision, whether it's a podcast, a business, a book, a brand, a product, whatever it is. I can see that before they can. And sometimes that feels good when they come early on in the writing process and they're like, I have this idea. I know it can be a book, but I don't know where to start. So yeah, we have an amazing team. And like you wouldn't Google how to deliver your own baby or, how to deal with certain
and then
things
you'd be afraid.
during your, yeah, exactly. People come to us because we have a team of experts, and one of our core values is that everyone just operates in their zone of genius. I'm not an editor. I'm not a ghostwriter. I'm not a writing coach or a literary coach. I'm none of those things. But what I do have is the gift of vision. So we work together as a team, everyone operating in their zone of genius, so that it comes together in a really beautiful package that feels supportive.
I think you're absolutely me in 10 years. I will say you have probably 10 years on me in this niche, which is amazing. But I would agree with you. Like, I think I'm going to follow that metaphor a little bit too far, if you will, the birthing the baby metaphor. I really enjoy when someone comes on a discovery call and, they've been chatting with me for a little bit and they're like, I think I'd like to write a book. Can we talk about what that might look like? So they don't even really have an idea yet. And then like that visionary professional that you were talking about, like, I can do that. I can blow stuff up to nobody's business and make it into something beautiful. And it's almost like watching that conception happen in a non-creepy way. of watching the seed get planted and watching their excitement build for the opportunity that's coming. Because a lot of times people come to me and they're similar, like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book, but I've never been able to land on a topic. And I was like, okay, well, let's explore them. Let's have that conversation. So I think that's very, very true. Like a lot of people we do work with from word one, from planning all the way to publication and beyond. But and like you said, it's different when someone comes to you with the manuscript completed. I find their confidence is different as well because they've been going at it alone. They maybe haven't received any feedback. And so they're shaky, they're nervous, versus the people that have gone through with our literary coaches, they're like, yeah, my message is awesome. Like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly who I'm talking to. So that's very interesting. I want to ask about your book. So you have another book coming out later this fall. Can you just talk a little bit about that and what the process has been for that book?
Absolutely. So one of my core values in life and business is I go first. So we've been sort of like auditioning some new literary writing slash coaches in the space, and I wanted to go through that process myself. So really, I keep saying, I'm 14-time published author. Like I've published a lot of books in my day, but this is the book. This is like my memoir. This is my personal story. This one is like super meaningful to my life, to my business, to my values, to my family. Like this is the book, the one, right? We all say like the book before the book, and there's all of these other things that like, this is the one. I can feel it. So I didn't want to take it lightly. I wanted to go through the process one of my clients would go through working with us. So I'm working with a writing coach to, hone in my message, and really I'm just being super open. And the act of surrendering has been a really interesting one for me as like an A-type personality, and and serial entrepreneur, and somebody who is a leader. And so like this act of surrendering, especially when it's my expertise, has been a really interesting one, and I'm here for it. Like it's been a really cool experience as well. So my book is coming out this September, which is like, it's really been a decade in the making, if I'm being completely honest. I've been writing it forever. I've been self-editing it forever. I've had my editors of the past look at it. I've had my current editors look at it. Like it's been a slog, to say the least, but I feel like it's finally on that other side. So I'm excited about it. It's called Smoke and Mirrors. It's about my personal journey surviving 20 years in the fashion and beauty industry. And I say surviving very intentionally because it is a survival process. And yeah, I think people want to see behind the curtains. But as someone who helps people publish nonfiction, 90% of our books are business books or how to self-help. So I think writing memoir is actually really interesting for me, because I really truly thought like I was going to be the next Mel Robbins, right? Like I was going to be the rah speaking on stage, like getting people hyped up, because that's what I do in my daily life. So to write a memoir and be more vulnerable, it's been an interesting experience so far.
Yeah, I feel like you're my spirit human, not spirit animal, because you're a human. But there's so much about what you're saying that brings us together. One, the huge difference between what we do in Vanity Press is that we go first. We do not teach what we have not done. And that's exactly, we just hired a new coach as well. And I had her coach me. She had to coach me through one of my projects and learn her style so that we could learn what the language of next page publishing was. And so our clients would get an even service no matter who they were with. And that act of surrendering that you're talking about, you're right. I've written 10 books at this point, 6 of which have been published. It's you feel like you should be really good at this by now and you shouldn't need any feedback, and that is just never the case. And it's funny when people are like, oh, you're working with a literary coach, but you're a publisher. And it's like, yeah, like this is not an art you can master. You always need feedback. Even if you're a 10-time published author, 100-time published author, they're getting feedback. They have editor teams. I always laugh when I'm not an editor. I'm a developmental editor. I'm great at the big picture stuff. I can pick up flow and consistency and I'm amazing at that. I am not good at grammar and spelling. And so when I post on social media and stuff, where people, I'll have a spelling mistake, or not usually a spelling mistake, but like a grammar mistake. Or I really throw people off sometimes because I use extra U's because I am Canadian, and that really throws people off sometimes. And they're like, "But you're a publisher. You're a published author. How can you make mistakes?" It's like, that's why I have editors. That's why I have a whole backroom team of people that are reading my content, not my social media posts, but like my books and, my higher ticket stuff. It goes through a team, and authors really need to release that expectation of perfection and that they have to do it alone, because you don't.
Well, and here's the thing, in any business, any kind of business, you name it, like throw something out there, right? Coaches need coaches. Right. And before coaching became so popular, it was consultants. Businesses hire consultants to support them in the things that they aren't good at. Like, I have a CFO who helps manage my finances, right? Because like money and taxes and all of those things that they don't actually teach us in school that they should, that wasn't my expertise or my zone of genius. So I hire a bookkeeper, I hire an accountant, I don't know why so many people frown upon the idea of hiring experts to support them with their thing. Like, I had somebody kind of have an idea for a book, blah, blah, blah. And we're a hybrid publisher. So I sent them an estimate of what it was going to cost. We have a full-time team. I've got payroll. I've got people that we're not outsourcing people randomly on the internet. You could do that if you were self-publishing, right? Like, we have a team who I trust, who I've trained, who I've worked with for years, who have proven their concept, proven their worth, all of those things. But this person was like, well, why would I pay this much for editing when I can just use AI and spell check?
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to publish a book that has been written by AI and then spell checked by a computer program, then have at it. But I'm not putting my name anywhere near that.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting that we frown upon hiring people to do their job, what they're experts in, that have 20, 30, 40 plus years experience in an industry, because we think we can cut corners to save, a book is your legacy. Like, it'd be the same if you were starting a business. You're not going to patch quilt and bootstrap your business together with AI. You're going to hire a consultant. You're going to hire an accountant. You're going to hire the people that you need to make your business come together.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Well, it's like your kid, right? Like, you send your kid to school because people know how to do it better than you. In a lot of cases, some people choose to homeschool, and I'm like, rah, rah, power to you. Could not do it. I would die. But it's the same thing, right? Like, you outsource where you're weak so that you can get the best possible result. And the more you put into it, the better the result. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I do want to say, I do dump on Vanity Press a lot, but it is a viable option. If you literally just want to hire someone to do your cover design who doesn't really give a crap about you and just spits out a book, go for it. If you want a team member, though, that's where the hybrid publishers come in. They are the teams that partner with you, give you honest feedback. They teach you more than do for you. And then they guide you through the processes. When I did my Vanity Press, I think if my expectations had been more realistic, if they had been more upfront about what their service actually entailed, it's smoke and mirrors. Isn't that what the title of your book? It's all smoke and mirrors with them, right? They are not upfront about anything. They promise you the moon and then deliver you a rock. Like, it's brutal. Yeah. With hybrid publishers, I know in the case of my company for sure, and I'm guessing in yours, it's transparent. We are holding up a sheet of clear paper and saying, this is what you're getting. There's nothing hidden. Yeah. There's no fine print. This is what you're going to get, and this is how we're going to help you get it.
Well, and I think a lot of it, and I love that you brought up this topic. So I went to the extent of we trademarked a term, blended publishing, because it better explains what we actually do. Because I think hybrid's been dragged down the rabbit hole of people just don't know, right? It's a misinformation. It's a lack of education around it. People don't know. When they hear hybrid, they think vanity. They don't know the difference. And that feeling of constantly justifying what you're doing, it's hard in an industry when you're constantly my degree is in developmental psychology, and I was, working as an early childhood educator for some time. And this constant, you're not a teacher, you're an ECE or whatever. Like when you're constantly justifying your worth to the world, when you're like screaming from the rooftops, it's becomes really difficult, and it dilutes the ability for us as business owners to deliver when we're constantly just like justifying what's out there. So I trademarked the term blended publishing, and that's what we call ourselves. We're a hybrid publisher, but people were judging the word and the term hybrid, thinking like, ooh, that's vanity.
Yeah.
They don't even know the difference between the two words. So
yeah.
I think education, and I love what you're doing. Like you're hosting your summit, and you like have this podcast. So I think educating people on the difference between hybrid publishing and vanity publishing. It's like hybrid publishers, they have infrastructure, they have connections, they have resources that, vanity press just don't have. A vanity press is a logo on your book, and it's essentially assisted self-publishing. And now that there's agency publishing and all of these other things too, it's just, there's so much. And I always, when I explain it to people, and I know you can't see me because it's an audio, but I always explain it like traditional publishing is over here, self-publishing is over here. That's like a crevasse-sized gap in the middle. So hybrid publishing fills that middle, but that's a big middle to fill. So there is a spectrum, there is a scale, right? So it really is about doing your due diligence as an author, and really like honing in on your intuition and your gut when you're speaking to different publishers to know what's right for you, and like trusting that intuition.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break for a commercial, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the most toxic place that you can go for authors, if I'm being honest. Attention, all aspiring authors. Are you ready to turn your book dreams into reality? Look no further than Author Allies, your ultimate companion on the journey to becoming a published author. Picture this: a membership site that offers structure, accountability, skill development, and unwavering support to bring your book ideas to life. That's exactly what Author Allies provides. Dive into weekly writing workshops where you can focus on your goals and stay motivated. Need expert advice? Our monthly Ask the Expert sessions connect you directly with industry professionals for valuable insights. Engage with fellow members through our Beta Reader Switch program, perfect for refining your manuscript before publication. Get access to a list of our verified resources so that when it's time to edit, design, and publish your book, you know where to turn. You can also enhance your craft with our writing training modules. Complete the exercises designed to elevate your skills and participate in the challenges. And as an added bonus, you can enjoy exclusive discounts on our future programs to help you streamline your publishing services. And if you're looking for a little bit more personalized advice, you will have access as a member to our one-on-one coaches to provide tailored support from our experienced professionals. Your literary dreams are within reach within our community of like-minded authors and expert guidance. Visit nextpagepublishing.net to join the membership and create a community around you and your book that guarantees your success. Okay, so I want to talk about toxicity in social media for authors. And when you were talking earlier about like how it gets exhausting to constantly defend your position in life and what you do and your business, I have never found a more toxic place than Facebook groups for writers. It is horrendous, the kind of abuse that authors are opening themselves up to in there. And service providers, you'll have editors go in there and give very reasonable quotes, or they'll give advice and they'll be like, yeah, we can have a conversation. And authors, I don't even know if they're authors, but people will jump on the bed and be like, you're ripping people off. And it's like, what? And it hurts the service provider, absolutely. But it also hurts the author who needs help and is now afraid to ask for it because they are afraid that they're going to be judged by their community, air quotes, of fellow authors, when it's really just like 10 loudmouths who don't have that repertoire that you and I are talking about of what is good service, what is good quality service in this industry. I don't know. I need to just exit those groups. I never contribute. I always just watch. Occasionally I might post like a helpful tidbit. But it's a scary place for service providers and authors. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I joined a bunch of them early on in my business, thinking that would be a great like lead magnet, a great place to sort of like plug myself in to truly support people. And early on, I hosted a program called the Author Generator Society, which was like a writing group for women who were writing nonfiction books. And, I thought, oh, well, what better place to, sell this than a writing group itself? And I couldn't agree more. That's where the people that want to use spell check to edit their books live and exist. So I think, I don't know what the answer is as far as how to change that, or if that's just simply one of those things that you kind of surrender to the idea that it exists in the peripheral and you just like move beyond it and, know your niche, know your business model, stick with your values, trust your instincts, like all of those things that I think we develop those, whether it's thick skin or skills, however you want to look at it in business over time. Because I don't think there's any changing it. I think, there's hundreds of thousands of people in some of these groups and they're all saying the same thing, that like publishing should be free. And, it's interesting because I have an in at some of the bigger publishing houses. I won't name names because I don't want to put that out into the world, onto the internet. But I have a couple of in people who work for larger publications, bigger publishing houses, and they have like the in. And they require now not just the book proposal and a literary agent and all of those things that you require. They now expect you to have a marketing plan and strategy.
Yeah.
Like a full one. Like not only do you need to have like minimum of 20,000 followers on Instagram and like X amount of like contacts on LinkedIn, like you need the same as your 60-page book proposal. You now need a full-blown marketing strategy to even be considered. And it's funny because when people say to me like, oh, I really want to go with, we'll say Penguin Random House, for example, right? Oh, I really want, it's like, okay, good luck, first of all, because I don't think people understand the process and they don't think it's legit unless they're published with a traditional publisher. But I think what entrepreneurs and people writing nonfiction don't quite understand is that they own the intellectual property right. You're giving away. And this was where, my story comes into play of how I spent $80,000 and 2 years of my time and energy, which to me is worth way more than the $80,000 that I actually spent. It near killed me. And it was just to get the intellectual property rights back to my words, my content, my like brain power. Right. So I think that's when people are like, well, why would I pay to publish when I could get an advance of $1,000? And it's like, it's there again, smoke and mirrors, right? It's like, they give you an advance, but you're expected to make really unrealistic deadlines and you have to pay it back. It's an advance.
Yeah.
It's not a paycheck. It's an advance and you have to pay back out of book sales. And then forevermore, you get a very low percentage of your book sales and they own the intellectual property. So if you're using it for your business, courses, programs, masterminds, like if you're using that intellectual property in other formats, you need permission because it's not yours.
It's gross. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that I don't think I've ever asked anyone on this show before. What's your prediction for traditional publishing, let's say 10 years down the road? I have mine.
I think it's going to get dissolved. Like in a sense, I think self-publishing has become so popular. And I love the fact that it's easier than ever to publish a book. I don't love the fact that it dilutes the credibility of like actual authors who care about, who are willing to go beyond spell check to publish their book, right? So I do think, and I'm seeing all the large publishing houses with hybrid imprints, right? All of them. Penguin Random House has a hybrid component. Hay House has a hybrid. They all have hybrids now.
Yeah.
It's going to be the way of the future because it's not a sustainable business model to just go full thing. And now with social media, like when you think about when publishing began, there wasn't the infrastructure now. Like social media and technology has completely changed the game. You can write a book with AI and you can edit with spell check and you can publish a book for free in a day.
Yeah.
Like all of that can happen. Do I recommend it? Hell no, because the credibility gets
Yes,
like
because if
dissolved,
you
in
want
my
it to stand
opinion.
up as your brand, don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't recommend that. But it's just there's so much noise, and it's so busy out there, right? Like I can't see how it, because of the smoke and mirrors and because of the way the industry is moving as at the speed it's moving, if I was to make a prediction, and again, like that's who knows, everything can change in a moment, right? The next technology comes out and it's like, whoa, it changes everything. So I'm here to be open, but I do foresee like the whole traditional publishing world being dissolved.
We're already
And
seeing it. They're reducing in
yeah,
sizes. They're absolving themselves. They're laying off editors. It's
mm-hmm,
already happening. I think the challenge is going to be for the market to adjust to accepting and identifying different levels of quality in publishing, because readers still also think traditional publishing is a book of value. It's professional, right? They readers are expecting perfection and they're expecting a certain thing. And so that's part of like my mission is getting authors to the spot where they are putting out something near perfect. We never aim for perfection. It's always near perfect. Lower the bar, people, where nobody's perfect. And
mm-hmm,
and getting readers to be okay with that, really opening a reader's eyes to what goes into this book. My second sci-fi comes out in, I'd say 6 weeks, maybe. By the time let's go like this. By the time this episode airs, hopefully that book is out. But I've been working on it for 2.5 years and I have read it 6 times. I have put it through multiple different editors. I have redone the cover design 15 times. Like that piece of media that readers are consuming in a day for the fast ones, maybe a week for the little bit slower ones, maybe a month. It literally takes thousands of hours to go into that type of media. It is the cheapest form of entertainment that you're going to get. And I don't think readers see that yet. And that's part of my like help us out. Like
yeah.
we're doing what we can
Well,
for
and
you.
I love that example because, being in the nonfiction space, it's harder to do those kind of comparisons. But like coming from the fashion and beauty industry, like I also did commercials, and I was an actor in some B level things that I won't mention because you can go Google me and find it. But being in that, it's like take me on set to get a 5-minute scene, right? So you're thinking about that comparison of like your Hollywood movies that they pour billions, millions, like however many dollars into to get this like quality thing that you watch for 2 hours and then you're like, okay, that was
Or
great.
like
And
$40. Like they're pricey.
yeah, yeah, but still, it's like it's crazy because you think of the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
My kids were watching some cartoon the other day, and it was the new Disney movie Wish, and we were watching it, and then at the end, there's like all these names, and they're like, "What are all those names, Mummy?" And I'm like, "That's all of the people that contributed to this: the music, the voices, the drawings, the like illustrations, the design, the like movement, all the things." And they're like, "Whoa, yeah, that's what goes into creating something that is powerful and magical and beautiful and entertaining and educational." And and that's what I want people to see in books. It's like everything that goes into it, like you get what you pay for, kind of. And I don't mean from the reader's perspective, like you get the $20 that you pay for a book on Amazon, but from the author's perspective, it's like invest in your legacy, right? It's like this is something that gets to be a Hollywood production level, or the one where you're like, oh my God, this is so low budget, I'm turning it off. Like
Yeah.
that kind of movie, right? So,
Yeah.
and I think it's important, like you can tell when an author has invested, not just financially, but like invested their energy and their time and not written it with AI and spell checked it to edit it. And, like you can
Yeah.
tell when real love and passion has gone into a work.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say, I'm designing one of our books right now, where she's in the design phase. And to toot my own horn, I make friggin' beautiful books. But the reason that I think I can make such beautiful books is because I have read them.
Mm.
My design team gets snapshots of the book. They talk to the author. They know their vibe, their personality, their favorite color. My daughter was asking me the other day, what's her favorite animal? And I was like, well, you know what? I actually know this. It's a phoenix. And she's like, Mom, that's not an animal. That's a mythical creature. I was like, close enough, whatever. But that's the hybrid side of what we do is we know our authors. We know their content. If someone asks me about any of the books we're working on right now, I can tell you exactly what's in it. But that's hybrid. That's hybrid. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any free offers or offers at all that you want to mention to our listeners?
By the time this airs, it'll probably be different. So I'm gonna just say for now that come check me out on social media. That's where you'll be able to follow along with my book. I'm at the Sabrina Greer on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. I would say that would be a great place to see what I'm up to and what's going on with my businesses and the publishing and my book and all the things, because that's really where I keep up to date stuff. But,
okay, that sounds good. We'll make sure we drop that link in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for this conversation. It feels a little bit like it was a meeting of the minds where we just get to talk about all the dirty shit happening in publishing as peers. So that was really nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of I Wrote That. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our upcoming guests. And if this has led you to some inspiration to want to get started on your own authorship journey, whether you just have an idea or you have a manuscript that you're ready to publish, reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net and we will match you up with our team of experts to make the journey simple, easy, and smooth.